Welcome back, aliens. My name is Ivan Reddy, and let's continue with this series on Python. Now, till this point, we have talked about different types of variables and we have talked about different types of methods, right? So we can write variable and methods inside a class, right? So a class will have variables and methods. The question is, can we have a class inside a class? That sounds weird, right? Why would anyone would have a class inside a class? So let's try to understand that. So let's say I have a class here and this class name is student, as usual, the way we have done earlier. And when we talk about student, we have different types of variables, right? Let me define that function first. And the variables which I want here is self. First I want a name. Of course, in the last example, we have taken marks, but here let's take something different. I would take a name of a person and that will be coming from a user, of course, or from when you create an object, we'll say name. The second thing I want is roll number and I want these two details, and then I will assign name here and I will say self dot roll number. Now we have used to it, right? So I would say roll number, right? Now once we got these two variables, what I want is I want to print them. The way you print these values is by defining some functions, right? Of course you can do that directly. Example, if I create an object here, so let's say the object is s1 and I will say student, and when you create this object you have to pass values as well, right? The first one I want to have is Naveen and roll number is let's say 2. The second object we want here is s2 and we'll say student, in which we'll be having two things. Of course I would say this is also Jenny and the roll number is let's say 3. So I have Naveen and we have Jenny here, we got 2 and 3. Okay, so let's say I want to print s1. So I want to print all the details about s1. Okay, I want to print the name and roll number. So the way you do that is by saying s1.name and we can say s1.roll number. So this is how you can print the values, right? Let me run this code and you can say it works. We got the details about s1. Now what I want to do is, I don't want to see, this doesn't look good, right? What you should be saying is you should say s1.show. So when I say s1.show, it should print all the details about s1. Maybe it has roll number, name, or different variables, right? So of course we need to define that function or method here. So we'll say def show. So this will print self.name and will print self.roll number. So we are printing this two data, right? It should work. Let's run this code and you can see we got the same data. Now let's say student also has a laptop. Of course, right? When you say you are doing IT, in fact we have done that, right? So you are a student of Telesco, you will be using a laptop to run your code, or desktop, doesn't matter. And let's say we want laptop here. So of course I want to know which laptop we are using. So I want to know your config. Now in that case, I will also ask a user, hey, tell me which laptop you are using. The problem is when you talk about laptop, there are different things important, right? It's not just about brand. You will not simply say, hey, I have HP laptop, I have a Lenovo laptop. You will also mention the configuration, maybe CPU and RAM, that's very important. Maybe any i5 CPU with let's say 8 GB RAM is enough. So I want to know your config. So what you will do, will you pass three variables, like you will pass a brand HP, and then you will also pass the CPU which you are using, let's say i5, or you will also pass let's say RAM of 8 GB. Yes, you can do that. Okay, so I have to accept these variables here, I have to accept that here, right? And we can do that. The other option which we have is different. Okay, so the other option which we can do here is we can create a class. Okay, we can create a separate class as laptop, or instead of creating a class outside the student, we can also create laptop inside student. So a laptop will be only used by student in this case. So I will say a class and I will say laptop. So we are creating a laptop class inside a student so that we can get that group. Okay, so we have to also say def here and we have to say init, right? And then let's create variables. So the first variable we need here is brand. Now let's say the brand is HP. That's the first thing we need. Second thing we need is the CPU which you are working with. I would say CPU is i5, and the third one is RAM. Let's say 8 GB RAM. So we got these three things, right? Now we got these three variables, and where to create the object of it? So we can create the object here itself. So we can create the object inside the init, and normally that's what we do. So if you want to create object of laptop, we should be creating that object inside the outer class. Okay, so the object of laptop will be inside the student class. The way you do that is very simple. Here you will say self.lap. You can create any variable you want, and you will say laptop, or we are getting error, so we have to say self.laptop. Okay, this works. So you can see in the constructor itself, you can define a variable. So in the outer class, you can define a variable lap, and you can define the object. So if whenever you want to use a laptop, you have to say the student object dot lap. Example, outside if I want to use it, I will say s1.lap dot whatever the brand you want to fetch. So you cannot simply say lab.brand, you have to say s1.lab.brand because the lab object is inside the student class. This is one way. What if you want to create another object of it? Let's say I don't want lab, I want, so you can simply say lab1 is equal to s1.lab. You can get another object for s2, you can say lab2 is equal to s2.lab, because for every object you will get different laptop object. Okay, trust me, this is how it works. In fact, you can also check that we got two different laptop objects here. We will print lab1 and let's print lab2. So let's print the IDs of lab1, lab2. We got two different objects here, so this works. Okay, this is where you create inner class. Okay, so we have a laptop as an inner class of a student, right? You could have done the outer class as well. I mean, you could have created two different classes, that even that works. But sometime when you know that this class will be used only for student, nothing else, then you don't have to create a separate file for that. You can do that in student class itself. Now, can I directly create the object outside? Let's say I don't want to get object of laptop inside the student class. Can we do it outside directly? Let's try. So I will say lab1 is equal to, I will say student.laptop. Now, why student here? Because you cannot simply access laptop directly, right? Because laptop class belongs to a student class. So we have to always say student.laptop constructor. You cannot simply create laptop directly, okay? So this is one thing you have to remember. You can create the object of inner class inside outer class, or you can do that outside the outer class, provided you are using the outer class name. So you have to say student.laptop. Okay, this works. In fact, just to enhance the example, what I will also do is we can create a show method for a laptop as well. So we can say show for laptop, and you can see we have two show methods. One is student and one is laptop. Okay, so inside student we have show method, inside laptop also we have show, but these are two different show methods. The show method of student will print the data about a student, and the show method of laptop will print the show method of student. I know that makes, that's weird. So let's do that. So I will say print self.brand, self.cpu, and self.ram. Okay, so we are printing this data. So this show is different from this show. Let me now print laptop here. Let me run this code, and you can see it prints only the name and the roll number. I also want to print the laptop. Oh, you need the object, right? We have removed that statement, because if you want to access laptop, you have to say self.lap is equal to laptop, but you have to say self. So this is important, and after printing this we'll call lab.show, because we also want to do that. So we will say self.laptop show. Okay, so we are printing data about a student and laptop as well. So this should work. Let's run this code, and it worked. You can see we got data about a student and a laptop as well. So this is how you create the class inside a class. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this session where we have talked about how you can create a class inside a class, which is also called as an inner class, right? So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section, and do subscribe for the videos. Thank you so much. Bye bye.